Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bitchin Brainstorm podcast. I'm your host, Elaine the Brain Terso, and I'm here with Bara, and she is going to kind of introduce herself and tell us what is keeping her stuck because we're going to use my pop rocks to help her get unstuck with whatever it is that is keeping her stuck in her business. So tell us more about you, what you do, how do you help people?
Hi, Elaine. Thank you so much for having me on. My name's Bara Mann, and I'm a transformational life coach and speaker, certified positive intelligence coach. And I help people overcome overthinking, overcome self sabotage, so they can live lives filled with joy, confidence, inner peace, and action.
Hey, well, what is keeping you stuck with that then? What is
I
going
think
on, girl? Tell us all the things.
some of the things keeping me stuck are one, I want to say my ability to reach the right people and the scale of people that I want to reach to be making as big of an impact as possible. And I think that one of the issues there lies in my messaging. I've
Okay.
got a great talk on the self sabotage solution, but I've realized recently that I think most people who are self sabotaging don't want to go to a talk about self sabotage, right? They think
They don't
they want
probably
to,
even realize that they're self-sabotaging.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So as a Sally is my self-saboteur's name. Like I've been through this whole thing of recognizing when my self-saboteur is coming out. And I conveniently named her Sally because I love alliterations. And so has to start with the same letter. So her name is Sally. I apologize to anyone I know named Sally. I really don't think you're a saboteur, but mine's name is Sally. And it's really interesting how I even got to that place. The self-awareness, I think, is really important to even realize that you're doing it. And we can't change it if we aren't aware of it. So my question for you is, are you doing any messaging around self-awareness at all?
I don't think I really have recently done my messaging around self awareness. I think awareness used to be one of the things that I talked about. I don't think it sounded very exciting to a
Okay.
lot of people.
Okay. Have you ever, I don't know why. Okay. So one of the things, this is our first time meeting. So one of the things that happens is that I get like little flashes of information and I just had one come through. So yay for you. Have you ever done a quiz where you can ask people like, is this overthinking or is this self-sabotage? Or is this or is it self-sabotage? Like being able to identify the behaviors and is it this or is it that? Have you done anything like that before?
I haven't. Well, once I did a this or that like Instagram story series that people really liked,
Hmm.
but I really like the idea of what you're talking about.
Yeah. If you were to put in like all of the things that are keeping people stuck, overthinking, analysis paralysis, mindset, self-sabotage, inner critic, all the things, and if you were to name them, like give them a personality, you could create a personality quiz and use it as kind of a lead magnet. People love quizzes and then allow that to, so I use tryinteract.com is the quiz builder that I use. It is no longer free, FYI, just so that you're aware. But here's what I'm able to do with a quiz on Try Interact. So I'm able to connect it to my CRM, which means that when someone takes my quiz and based on their answer, I can automatically put them in my CRM and automatically send them the result. Even though they're going to get it on a results page, I want to make sure that I also send it to their email with a call to action. The results page will have a call to action button at the bottom as well. So typically what I do is like the first half is telling them more about that personality type. And then I will kind of cut it in half with some little dots. And then I will have like a little introductory to who I am and how I can help them. And maybe there's an event or a program or something that I want them, what do I want them to do next? They could download a PDF, I don't know, whatever. You get to decide what that looks like, but you can have a call to action at the bottom where they're like, click to kind of go to the next step of some sort. It could even be to connect with you, whatever you want that to be. Now, the cool thing about that is then I can filter them out because of their answer. Based on their answer, I have automated sequences ready to go that are going to continue to address their quiz results. So you could have a whole series of emails going out talking more in specific detail about self-sabotage. Oh, and by the way, here is my next event that you could come to, or here is an opportunity to work with me, or whatever you want that to be. But it will kind of drip it out where you're continuing to address that specific concern that was identified in the quiz. So it's very cool. I'm not going to lie, it will be a labor of love. Okay. It will be a labor of love, but creating quizzes has been a really great lead magnet for my business and other businesses that I have helped with this. So FYI, if you need help with that, I can help you. But just know that there are some really, and you'll get analytics, you'll get to see what their answers are. Like you will be able to have all of the information um, from this platform.
Thanks. Yeah, that sounds fun. One of the big tools that I do use is sending people to the saboteur assessment through Positive Intelligence's website and then
Okay.
walking them through that. That's usually my discovery call process is
Okay.
let's go through this and really understand the way it's affecting your life.
Okay.
But it's not that fun. So
Got it. So we could make it a little more fun, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
the interesting thing is hard for me to see the personality types like
Yeah.
doing that. The initially what I was understanding is like, is this self-sabotage or is this like actual logic, you know?
Hmm.
Um, and then just getting people's like understanding of self-sabotage. And then maybe that could lead them into like,
Yeah.
actually, here's this quiz to really understand the way that you're
Hmm.
self-sabotaging.
Hmm. You could do that too. Yeah. So I mean, I feel like there's like multiple ways that you could address it. Kind of the this or that, or having, giving them personalities and kind of like the movie Inside Out. Freaking love that movie. Like, and all of just the little personalities that are kind of living inside of our head, right? And um what would it look like if self-sabotage was inside of our brain? Like, what would they look like? What would their character look like? And you know what I mean? I feel like there's some really fun ways that you could kind of bring to life um the idea of self-sabotage where it helps people feel like they're not alone, they're not the only one. When I tell people that my self-saboteur's name is Sally, people love it. They're like, "Oh my God, that's so great. I need to name mine too." So it like it does this thing where it makes it normal and okay to have it, but it's just the awareness of it and then how can you help them overcome it? So they're identifying that there's an issue, but now what? How do I get rid of it? That's where you come in.
Yeah.
Hmm. And what will happen in their life or in their business as a result of that? How will everything change once they identify and address their self-saboteur? Like, what does that messaging look like?
Are you asking me that
Yeah,
question?
yeah.
How it looks is they become more productive.
Okay.
They have so much more time for the things that they want to do and the things that they need to do. They experience more joy, more fulfillment, their relationships get better, their work gets better, their mental well-being gets better.
Okay. Yeah. And so if you were to go down the why, so why is that important? Okay, great. Why is that important? And really, because like that's where your messaging is. And if you are able to, I don't know if you've ever received testimonials where you can see what are people actually saying. One of the best pieces of advice I got a really long time ago, back when I was a photographer, and I really wanted to help women overcome their body image issues, right? And get photographed even though they wanted to lose weight first and all the crap, all the bullshit. Um, she said use their words. Well, I'm like, well, how do I get the words? So I did a anonymous survey and I had like 43 ladies reply and basically tell me all the baggage, all the things that were keeping them unhappy. And then looking at what are the people saying that have had a photo shoot done? What are their words? So then I was really able to kind of craft this messaging around people feeling unappreciated was like number one. They felt unappreciated at home, in their relationships, at work, in all the places. They were overwhelmed with family who was ill. So having chronic illness or a parent who was sick, having kids who were sick, having a spouse in the military. There were so many just like, and the financial burden and all of the household duties and everything was just laying on her shoulders. And my messaging became kind of this like, I'm going to give you a day off. Like, I'm going to give you an opportunity to not worry about any of that shit. You're going to be pampered. You're going to be loved on. You're going to feel beautiful. And you're going to get to see yourself in a way you've never seen yourself before. And once I started using that kind of messaging, holy mother, like that was the smartest thing I did for, because I was doing like boudoir photography, right? And that's a very vulnerable position to be in. And trying to, I didn't want to be in the field of convincing people, but I felt like I had to be because women really wanted to do it, but they really needed you to tell them that you wanted them to do it because they weren't going to volunteer to do it. Like it was this really weird dynamic, but once I was able to like figure out that messaging, everything changed for me. So I'm wondering if we did a little deeper dive into some market research and really find out what are people really struggling with and have this kind of anonymous sort of survey and really allow people to just dumpster dive into their feelings and what's really going on underneath. What is the not the surface pain, but the deeper level shit that nobody wants to talk about? Because then you can start talking to them and using their words, and they're going to go, oh my God, how does she know? How is she in my head? How does she know that I'm struggling with that? Because I don't talk about that to anyone. We got to get like down to there's surface level pain and then there's like deep seated pain. And we got to get down here because this stuff doesn't really matter. It's what they tell everybody, but it's not what really matters. This stuff down here is really how you can help them bridge the gap from I am sabotaging my success to I am thriving in my business and in my life and my career and all of the things.
Yeah. One of the things that I struggle with is interviewing the right people because it's like I'm just polling on Instagram the people who are answering. A lot of times they're people who are like-minded to me or like already have done some work and made some progress.
Mhm.
Or they're people who are really struggling, but like not would ever consider investing in coaching at this point in their lives.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe I wonder if you have tips on that. How do
Yeah.
you get that interview from the right person who is a
Mhm.
real potential client or example of a potential
Yeah.
client?
So I have the questions that I used were about, oh please, let me get one of my books. I did this thing a really long time ago. It was a complete bomb, but what I was able to do was I did this thing. Are you familiar with ACEs, adverse
Sounds
childhood
familiar. Go ahead.
experiences? So there was a a study done a long time ago by a doctor who created this quiz called Adverse Childhood Experiences. And the reason that it came about, and this was like in the 80s, was he noticed people who were overweight. They were like, this was like an obesity clinic. People that were identifying as obese had trauma. So it was, wow, the more trauma they have, the more it affects their health in some capacity. So he created 10 questions. Um, if anybody in your household before the age of 18 swore at you, put you down, etc., um, did they push you, slap you, throw things at you? Um, did they touch you inappropriately? Did you ever feel like you weren't loved or weren't important? um, that you didn't have enough to eat, you had dirty clothes, you weren't cared for enough, if your parents were separated or divorced, if your mother did, horrible things, hit you, kick you, etc. If anyone in your household had a problem with alcohol, drugs, etc. If anybody had ever been to prison in your household, and if anyone had attempted suicide, had a mental illness, etc. This is, I'm not joking. I did this. This was like 2018, 2019. So what I did was I wanted to know, based on these questions, how did this affect the mind of an entrepreneur? I couldn't find any studies on it, so I did it myself. And I was able to utilize, I just used like a Google form, really, is what I did because at the time I didn't have all this fancy tools that I have now. So I used a Google form and it was all anonymous. And I asked them which ones they could say yes to. And then I asked them in what ways are they struggling in their business or career. Guess what was on there? Self-sabotage, right? And then I asked them about their coping mechanisms. How are they coping with their trauma? Because it's usually in the form of smoking and alcohol and social media and addiction of any kind is a coping mechanism to trauma. And and then I wanted to know how did it like to the next level? How did it interfere with their life or their success today? And it was like having trust issues, not feeling good enough, feeling alone, having anxiety and depression and PTSD and kind of this insecurity and things like that. So I really like wanted to know all of these things. Um, Again, having it be anonymous, one of the things when I did with the photography clients was I also asked their income range. I asked about their family size. I asked about, are they married or separated or divorced or widowed? Like I asked those questions too. And the reason I wanted to ask the income question, and it was just like a range, what's a range? Was so then I could say how many of these people are actually what I would consider to be qualified clients because I wasn't cheap, right? I was a more kind of expensive photographer, if you want to call it that. And so it's not that I wouldn't um, care about the opinion of someone who made $20,000 a year, but they're not my ideal client. Someone who is making maybe $60,000 a year was more of my ideal client, and her answers may have had more weight, and I may have used her words more because she was an ideal client, kind of self-identified ideal client without really realizing that. So you could ask those questions like, are you an entrepreneur? What kind of career do if you have do you work in finance or real estate or I don't know, like whatever those questions are. And it's really designed to get inside the mind of your ideal client. You have an opportunity to ask them any question that you want. And if you make it easy, yes and no's or multiple choice, the more you will get people to take this quiz, this survey, if you will. And then again, you can have, I would, if you're going to have um, where they fill in their own answer, um, I would be really um like very specific and only have a few of those. Because the more they have to type out, you may get very sparse answers. But some others will take the time and actually really truly fill it out. So you just kind of have to weigh what's really important to you and what you really want to know about these potential people. And I would share in different Facebook groups. I wouldn't just rely on Instagram. I would also be sharing it on LinkedIn. I would be sharing it where are professionals, where are the people that are most going to identify with you, where do they hang out? And it may be more than Instagram. So I would probably move this off of Instagram and I would use Facebook groups, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Twitter, wherever else you might hang out where you can, have a link of some sort. But that's what I would do. And I had made a goal that I wanted 200. And by sharing it in groups, I had a lot of people rallying around me and sharing this link in all of these groups that I wasn't a part of. And I'm like, this is awesome. So I went up with like 220 surveys because I
Nice.
really wanted the data in order to really um to use this for good in order to really have a good quality number of people and of the data. The more I had, the better I was able to help people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That was a very long version. I'm sorry for that, but like it just but that's what I did.
Cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think I have two questions like for myself. One is what are the clients and people saying themselves? And then another is what is their corporation going to want to like, what do they care about? So what kind of talks are they going to want to host? Because I think that's some feedback I've gotten in some places. People actually love coming to the self-sabotage solution, but for certain spaces I've been told like, well, people here aren't going to want to admit that they have a problem with self-sabotage because that's going to make them be seen as weak.
Hmm.
And the organization might be on a similar
Hmm.
note. So it's
Yeah.
what's going to get people really excited
Hmm.
to come here and then
Hmm.
learn how to deal with this stuff because it does so much more than just help you with self-sabotage.
Hmm.
But what words are going to resonate with you so I can
Yeah.
communicate to you why you want to be there.
Right. So if you didn't use self-sabotage, what are some other words that you would consider?
Well, for the problem, I like the word self-sabotage. I really like overthinking. I think
Hmm.
that a lot of people have experience overthinking. I
Hmm.
don't think a lot of people are interested in investing their money to fix their overthinking problem, which is funny because or their time, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's one issue that I try to kind of speak to because I think one big obstacle is a lot of people think, well, I don't have time to do this work. I have all this other stuff. And it's like, yeah, but if you put in a little time right now, like
Hmm.
very quickly, you're going to see that you're gaining more time than it's costing you because
Hmm.
you're going to get so much more efficient at everything. But
Yeah.
that can be a really hard
Hmm.
thing to get across to people.
Well, I think you also said being more productive, having more time, finding more joy, improving your mental well-being. So if you instead of focusing on self-sabotage, like it's sell them what they want, give them what they need. They don't
Right.
know that they may have a problem with self-sabotage. They may feel unproductive, not consistent, which I see all the time with business owners. When I talk to them, it's, I need to be more consistent. I need to be more consistent. And they sabotage being more consistent because there's a deeper seated fear of the fear of success. What if I can't keep it all? So they sabotage their own business because there is an underlying fear going on. So, what if instead of talking about self-sabotage, if you really kind of related it to productivity, getting more time back, making more money, finding more joy, improving your mental well-being, like all of those things that you talked about as this is what the big benefit of this is, and just talk about the results. They don't, and then there's not going to be this perceived people are going to judge me if I'm at this class talking about self-sabotage. I'm going to learn to be more productive. I'm going to go learn to have better mental well-being. I'm going to go so I can gain back some more hours in my day. I'm going to go because I want more joy in my life. So now it kind of removes this stigma of you're going to be judged if you go to a class about self-sabotage, which they're
Yeah,
not,
absolutely.
right? So
Yeah,
what would that look like?
that's a great question. I'd love to find a way to like capture that in like a talk title, I think, and to make it fun because I
Mhm.
think productivity is great for the employer.
Right.
But are most people thinking, like, when they hear productivity in a workspace, are
Hmm.
they going to want to show up for that talk? They're like, I'm not going to, this is my lunch break. I'm not going to
Yeah.
take my time to be more productive for you.
Hmm.
And it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, but to be more productive in every aspect of your life, to have
Yeah.
more time doing
Yeah.
the things that you love
Hmm.
and the things you need to do for work.
Yeah.
And how do we push this into one talk title? I also love alliteration. That's kind
Hmm.
of where the self-sabotage solution came from.
Hmm.
But it's like,
hmm
well, what's the powerful version
Yeah.
of this that the
Yep.
employer loves and the employee
Yeah.
loves?
To me, what's coming through is like superpowers. So how could we translate all of those things into finding your superpower and your zone of genius, things like that. Um, Also, what else is coming through? Um, it's almost as if you have two different like audiences, right? Employer and employee. Or I don't know if you work with entrepreneurs as well, but being able to talk to those audiences in a completely, and they're going to want different things. The other thing I think of like in corporate America is kind of this idea of work-life balance, which doesn't actually exist. A friend of mine who was a boundaries coach is like, no, it's work-life boundaries. Um, but people are looking for they Google work-life balance, right? And so again, it's give them what they want or sell them what they want, give them what they need. They don't know that they need boundaries. They think they need balance. So if you were to look at it in that term, what are they Googling, but what do they really need?
Yeah, that's a good idea to look for what they're Googling.
Yeah. So you can answerthepublic.com answerthepublic.com. I believe, I think, I mean, the last time I looked at it, it's been a while, but you can look up like a topic of what are people Googling
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to self-sabotage. Like, what are they looking up? What are they looking up when they're looking up productivity? What are they looking up? How are they getting to these sorts of results? The other thing I would encourage is ask ChatGPT and just say, I don't want to use the word self-sabotage. So how can I reframe it and to be a positive and ask it, say, give me 10 titles, talking titles, speaking titles, or whatever that will help address these issues. So give it a list. You could even give it an outline of your presentation and say, I want to create a new title for this talk. These are the things I'm going to talk about, but don't use the word self-sabotage, right?
Yeah,
And just see what it brings up. And if you're like, I hate all of those, give me more,
yeah,
but it can be that kind of tool where it can help you see things that you never thought of before,
yeah.
you
And I
know?
can specifically ask it, let's help me frame this in the positive.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And then you can also ask it for feedback. Like, what messaging should I use? What should I include that's not already there? Is there something I should eliminate from this talk in order to really deliver? Like, and my ideal audience is employees, business owners, etc. Like, tell it all the things and allow it to give you that feedback because, like I said, you may see something that you never thought of before, which I've been pleasantly surprised and go, oh, I didn't even think about that, because our brains are only, they're wired to kind of think one way. And sometimes it's nice to get a fresh perspective and dig a little deeper on that and see what comes up.
Yeah. It can be fun too to like have these interactions with
Yeah.
AI sometimes.
Yeah. And I just asked it yesterday. I said I'm doing a new little thing called Friends Business Bingo, which has been very fun. And I did some of the challenges yesterday and which brought out a new idea for me. And I was like, oh, this is fun. But like, what are all of the different follow-up strategies? Like, what are all of the different things? And so I asked it to give, and I said, tell me all of the different follow-up strategies, but give it to me as if they're quiz answers. So then it generated the Care Bear, who's the nurturer, and then it generated the architect, and then it generated like so it was like very cool how it I was like, "Oh my gosh, like those are so fun." And something that I never would have thought of using the word Care Bear, and I love the Care Bears. I grew up with the Care Bears, but I never would have thought of, "Oh, I should use it as a Care Bear as a I never would have thought of that. So it's just something fun to just kind of get you thinking outside of the box.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you just keep on going with it and go a little deeper and go a little deeper and um, ask it to refine or change or I hate that, change this, change that. Um, and so then I would think once you kind of have that new kind of working title, test it out and ask people, clients of yours or anybody that, if you're in a mastermind or coaching program or something like that, and say, how does this title resonate with you? What do you think the topic is going to be about? And also, might you need a tagline in order to kind of help kind of provide additional information in the title of your talk so that people really truly understand, maybe what they're going to get out of it. And I wouldn't use self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm thinking that tagline could work well too for like maybe the title is more focused for the business, but
Hmm.
then the tagline is more focused to their employees to want to go. Because I,
Sure.
even though it's two different audiences, I have to speak to
Hmm.
both of them
Yeah.
if I want one of them to pay for it and the
Right.
others to come to it.
Right. Right. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And so having, employees who are not sabotaging, how does that help the employer?
It helps them with employer retention. It helps them with growth, with productivity.
Which is all equates to dollars.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, that's really what it generates is more dollars because if their employee is more productive and is, not overthinking, not sabotaging themselves, it's all gonna just generate more for the client, for their, for the customers in the long run, which is going to help them generate more revenue.
yeah, absolutely.
Hmm. Hmm. Have you done um like gone into a company and really like had an opportunity to um interview staff and like really find out kind of what's really going on and being able to assess any of that? I kind of equate it to like Tabitha's Takeover. Did you ever see that show back in the day?
No, I didn't, and I haven't had that opportunity yet.
Oh my gosh, I could see that being like a big thing for you. So back in the day on the E network, because it was, or Bravo, or one of those networks, I think it was Bravo, there was a show called Tabitha's Salon Takeover. So she had been on another, like a hair cutting competition, and she has like an Australian accent. She's kind of a hard ass, which made me love her. And sh they gave her her own show where she would go into hair salons that were struggling and take over and say, I'm going to fix your hair salon. And 9 times out of 10, the reason why their salon was struggling was because of the owner. But the owner couldn't see that they were the problem. They thought the problem was all their employees. And they're like, no, right? It's Taylor Swift. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Like the owners can't even identify that they are the problem. But it wasn't until somebody else came in, kind of the outside looking in, interviewing all of the staff and really and even had like hidden cameras, like what's really going on here, and then offering training to the employees so that they could improve their skills, which will then turn around and help the salon generate, revenue and marketing and like all of that other kind of stuff. So I mean, this was like a week or a 2 week like gig where she's going in and like helping identify the issue, but 9 times out of 10, it was the owner of the salon. And so being able to go into a corporation and find out what's really going on. Is it at the top? Because a lot of times they think it's everybody else, but they never think it's themselves,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. I've been with corporations like that.
Yeah. And so is that something that you could offer as an additional kind of a VIP experience of let me come in and find out what's going on with your team and why it's not working. And because they may think it's self-sabotage, but maybe it's not. Maybe there's something much, much deeper where you can kind of have that outside perspective looking in and saying, this is not self-sabotage or overthinking. This is you're a bad leader.
Yeah.
And you need Simon Sinek or Brene Brown in here, you know?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing anything like that before?
No, not at this point. I think to me, yeah, the most impact, I care about impacting the most people. So you can make the greatest impact if you can speak to that person at the top, right? But if that leader is also coming to that training their employees are coming to, that can help them make the shifts too. So ideally, I would get to work with a group of the executives at the company, or actually maybe even middle level management
Okay.
would be ideal because they're
Yeah,
like really affecting people's lives.
they are.
Um, but if I can just get in there and speak to everyone
Hmm.
in the first place too, then I can see who it trickles over to and who it resonates for.
Yeah.
Um, you can go from there.
Okay. So where do you do most of your marketing then?
Well, I'm kind of on a pause and going to be shifting that up. Organic is pretty important to me. And I think that's where I really want to shift to, because the social media thing, it doesn't work well for me, both from a result standpoint and also from a energetic
Mhm.
standpoint.
Mhm.
It takes too much of my energy and then results in me being less productive and making less impact with my
Okay.
clients.
So do you do any blogging or podcasting or do you have a book or how else are you getting yourself out there? Are there other ways?
I have had a blog in the past. I kind of
Okay.
put that on hold.
Okay.
Um, it was really impactful, but not enough people were seeing it. So I was
Yeah.
putting too much energy into something that
Okay.
not that many people could see. It's like I might as well be spending this energy on my own book, but haven't
Mhm.
felt called to start that yet.
Okay.
Going on other people's podcasts, but have yet to feel the pull to start my own podcast. I know that's coming at some point.
Okay.
Um, I think right now my next step might be connecting with people I know in different organizations. I'd like to shift to my work being more speaking, and
Hmm.
then from the speaking, that bringing in the clients.
Okay.
So it's more the speaking opportunities that I
Yeah.
need to pursue.
Yeah. Have you joined any organizations in order to help you with that or I know there's like websites out there where you can like create a speaker profile and things like that. Have you done anything like that yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Um, I feel like someone that I know, who her whole job is, her business is to help people with finding speaking gigs. And then I have another friend whose business is to help people find podcasts that are like in your target audience she's like a booking agent, I guess you could say. And so happy to connect you if you would like those resources. Um, but I know, do you have a speaker page on your website yet?
Not yet.
Okay. I see that as a top priority for you,
Yeah.
right? Do you have video of you speaking where you could make like B-roll?
I don't really.
Okay.
Most of the speaking that I've done has either been smaller or private.
Okay.
So that is something that, yeah, I know would benefit me a lot.
Okay. So here's here's a suggestion. Okay. Um, could you get a group of friends into a conference room and have somebody record in a professional capacity of you delivering your talk? Okay. Get yourself all dressed up as if you're going to present. You need the backs of people's heads. You need an audience shot, you know what I'm saying? And being able to
Mhm.
have somebody, um, but having that recorded and then having them create you a speaker role so that a lot of places want something like that. So I would make that like a priority for you is doing that and hiring a videographer and telling them this is what I need and to combined with your friends and their friends as models where you are you need that kind of like audience so that it looks I don't want to say so that it looks like you're legit, but it kind of does.
Yeah.
So, do you happen to know any videographers in your area?
I think I may have just met one. So, yeah.
Yay, that's a coinkydink. I love that. Um, Definitely invest in that. And then update your website with the speaker, like speaker, make a one sheet and have one for speaking, have one for podcasting, have one for networking. But being able to um, have these documents with, titles of your talks, a little bio about you. Um, Mel Robbins has a really great speaker page if you want to kind of look at hers as maybe like um, as a example. I just looked at it yesterday because somebody was asking on my in my Facebook friends was like, "Where is Mel Robbins speaking right now? I really want to go." And I'm like, "Well, I Googled it because I'm like, well, did you ask? Like, did you go investigate?" So I went to go investigate and found, you know how like Google will give you like this little AI summary now?
Yeah.
um there was the letthemtheory.com or whatever, and so I clicked on it to see if I could find any upcoming speaker things, but she had a speaker page and I was like, oh wow, like how much does it cost to have Mel Robbins come and speak? Yeah,
Cool.
right, like pretty penny, but she has like approved images. She has here, click if you would like her to be on your podcast. Click here if you would like, whatever. So you can like request different things on that page. So it could be like kind of a take what applies to you, but kind of use or other speakers that you have seen or respected or whatever, and just kind of look at their pages and go, oh, I like that element. I want that on my page too. But having a B-roll of some sort will be really helpful for people who are looking for speakers. And then any sort of I would be putting stuff on YouTube as well and utilizing that SEO because YouTube is a search engine. Pinterest is a search engine. And even though TikTok may be going away, we just don't know yet. It is also a search engine.
Yeah.
So putting those things on there and I would put it into Descript. I would transcribe it. I would ask it to provide you with a summary and keywords and a title and use all of those to create content out there. I would be creating like a little what is the word? Like I don't know, like a very short clip that you could use. Is it a GIF? I don't know. It's like a short little it's a moving video, but something that you can have is like the background to a page on your website. So where it's like 10 seconds maybe, right? So it kind of just cycles through. But having that of you speaking, you know what I mean? Um, having that interactive element to it. Hmm.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
Yeah. So if that is your intention is to become a speaker, then let's get you like changing all of your stuff that you are a speaker, changing, and how to book you, like putting that on all your profiles, updating all of the things that need to be updated, and also notifying your clients, notifying your community, notifying your email list. Hey, this is what I'm up to. This is how you can support me. This is what I would love to talk about. This is who you might know that you I would love an introduction to. You got to let people know what you're up to because they want to be supportive.
Right.
So communicate with the people that you've connected with before and just let them know that you've had some updates in your life and you would love their support. And this is what support might look like.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, they want to be supportive.
Yeah.
I do that once a year. I will reach out to people that I've connected with before in like the last year, and I will send them like, this is what's new in my life. And I would love to have like a reconnect. And one year I kept track and I had done 312 connects one-on-ones, which is a lot, by the way.
Yeah.
And I just reached out and I said, this is what's going on in my world. And I had so many people schedule a second, I call them a second date. You want to schedule a second date. And then also, and I said, I would love to, what's new with you? Like reply and tell me what's going on in your world and how can I support you? And a lot of people replied and kind of gave me their top 10 of things. And I'm like, I didn't make it about business. It was all personal. And just, I traveled to Paris and where have you gone? And just allowing people they wanted to share about their experiences that they had in Paris or something like that. So I kept it all personal based and but invited people to connect again with me and included my calendar link so they could do so. So consider maybe doing something like that just to update the people that are already in your community and in your network, in your contacts, and be like, hey, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
And
Sounds good.
definitely update your LinkedIn profile because we know when you do that, it does update your contacts and lets them
Mm.
know because then people want to send you congratulations. And then if they do, it goes into your DMs, which then you can reply back and say, hey, just an FYI, if you ever come across someone in this kind of field, I would love a connection with them,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, that's a good idea. And I think even a simple update like switching to like speaker and life coach instead
Yes,
of life coach and speaker.
yes, exactly. Exactly. So utilize those things to your advantage. And it's like, kind of the same concept. If you spend a little time in advance, you can save a little time later. You
Mhm.
know, I would think
Yeah.
this would be time well spent that will have its payoff because then you will start to attract people to your profile that are interested and are looking for speakers.
Yeah. Although my experience has been in the past that whatever updates I make tend to attract people looking to sell things to
Right.
those people. So,
So here's what I learned. Somebody gave me this advice once, and I will pass it along because maybe the advice was not for me. I'm a firm believer of that. Sometimes I receive stuff that is not for me. He said to me, because I always complained about LinkedIn. I was like, God, LinkedIn is the bane of my existence because all I get are dirty DMs or pitch slaps from people that want to sell me something. I don't know you. I'm
yeah.
not buying anything from you. I'm not booking a discovery call with you. You know nothing about me. So he said to me, he said, those are people that want to connect. So what if you turn it around on them? Well, I would love to connect with you, and here's what I do. And I'm like, Martin, But he used it as a way to turn it around and pitch them right back. And here's my calendar if you'd like to schedule a consult. I was like, you are braver than me, sir. You are braver
Yeah,
than me.
interesting.
And a lot of them, I mean, I don't know if LinkedIn has cracked down on it or not, but a lot of them were just like, you know, they were auto responders. You would, approve a connection and then automatically get in a DM. You're like, literally, you did not have time to type that.
Yeah. I
That
know
was
it's so
literally
frustrating
an
to get that. It's like,
automation.
I really enjoy your profile. I'm like, you haven't had time
You
to
don't
look at
even
my
know anything
profile.
about me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that they are cracking down on that because it is the thing that made me not want to use that platform was all of the unsolicited sales pitches. They're not authentic. And I am a firm believer. I love automations, but I will not automate building relationships with people. That's not how to do it.
Yeah.
If it's not
I agree.
genuine and authentic, I'm not replying. I can tell that as a canned message. There is no authenticity in that whatsoever. It's all about you. I'm not interested. I don't even reply.
Yeah.
So,
I'm with you.
got to pick our battles, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So, action moving forward. What's going to be your priority?
My priority is emphasizing the speaking.
Okay.
Um, yeah. Emphasizing the speaking is my definite priority. And then also experimenting with AI to help me generate the title for the talk.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing what you do. Don't forget, send me updates when you get your speaker reel done. Send it over. I would love to look at it. But thank you so much for being a guest on my podcast. It was lovely to meet you. And I hope that this was helpful in some way.
Thank you so much. It was. Thank you for having me.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Have a great day.